Hey guys, it's Ben, and today I'm going to be doing a walkthrough of the Relevant Try Hack Me challenge. So this is meant to be sort of a black box CTF challenge. It's meant to sort of look like a real penetration test. It says it's where is it? It can benefit preparation for the ECPPT, and it also says you should try to do manual exploitation first before jumping into tools like Metasploit. So that is what I'm going to do. That is only what I did. I only used sort of manual tools. It also says it encourages you to consider writing a report, a vulnerability exploitation assessment, and remediation suggestions. I haven't done this, but I would definitely consider you guys doing it if you want to sort of get into the feel of doing a real penetration test. So yeah, I've got the box going. What I'm going to do is get to the right directory. I'm going to make directory relevant walkthrough, and let's cd into relevant walkthrough. Let's get a nice terminal set up going, and we'll zoom these in like so. I'm going to make directories recon exploits nmap, and I'm going to start off with a full nmap scan covering all the ports. I'm going to output this to nmap full tcp.txt, and we'll see what we get from here. I'm not sure how quick this is going to be. Okay, this may be really slow actually, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a fast one, and then in the background I'm going to do a full one. So fast TCP and T4. We may get all the information we need for this box with a fast one. However, as this is supposed to be a proper penetration test, you really want to cover all possible ports. You want to find all possible endpoints, both TCP and UDP. So we found that. We've got some ports to work on in the meantime. What I will do is do TAC-PDAC-P to get all the ports, and I'm just going to say call this full TCP. We could also do a UDP one as well to see what services are running. So first of all, we can see look, there's a web server on port 80, 135, MSRPC, and then 139 and 445 are sort of your SMB ports. It's also got RDP running. So there's a lot of different entry points. You could start off perhaps brute forcing RDP credentials. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus on enumeration. We want to find out a bit more details about this box. So I'm going to cd into recon, and then I'm going to make directory SMB. We can sort of do our SMB enumeration here and see if there's any other obvious entry points. So 10.10, actually I'll just paste that. I'm going to specify I just want to do port 139 and port 445. I also want to specify I want to do a server scan, TAC SC for default scripts, TAC O for operating system enumeration, and I'm going to output this to nmap. Nmap smb.txt. I could also do, I need to be sudo for that, so run sudo. I could also in another terminal see are there any SMB shares available to us as a user, so we can cd into this recon SMB, and we can do a basic SMB client TAC-L, see if there are any SMB shares. We'll first off use no authentication because we don't have any credentials so far. Our SMB nmap scan with default scripts would tell us if this is possible, so we can sort of jump ahead and try this anyway. So tsmb shares, SMB client shares dot log, and we'll see 4 shares are available to us. If we did perhaps SMB map, just out of interest, SMB map TAC host, and we did this username and password, are we available to see any? And it gives an authentication error, but SMB client does work. So we've got a list of shares. We can try connect to some of these in a second. So let's cat SMB client shares.log. And then over here, our more thorough Nmap scan came back. So we can see the OS from the SMB OS Discovery NSE script is coming back as Windows Server 2016. So this could shout out Eternal Blue. Perhaps we'll investigate if that is exploitable. And it says guest authentication, account used guess an authentication level user. So this is also suggesting perhaps we can log on with the guest user with no username and password. And yeah, that does work. We can list the shares. We could manually go in one by one and try connect to each of these shares to see, like we can see these shares exist. Can we actually connect to them? So I'll take away this tag L, and then one by one we can sort of try this. So let's try the admin share. Can we connect to this? Access denied, right? So we can't connect to that one. What about the C share? C share. Access denied, okay. And what about IPC share? That works if we cut out, or LS. There's no contents of the IPC share, so there's not much we can do from there. What about this last one, NT for work SV? And we can connect to this one if we cut out the content, not cut out, ls, list the contents. There's this passwords.txt. So these could be credentials we could use. We can obviously get passwords.txt onto our local box. We can exit and clear, and now we've got these passwords for, we don't know, we can cut out passwords, see what they are, and it looks like they're encoded. So I've realised I haven't moved the Nmap SMB script into the SMB folder. So we've got these passwords here. What we can do is we can sort of manually do this. So we've got one password here. They're encoded. If you're familiar with this encoding, you'll know it's base 64. So let's just cd into SMB, and then what I'll do is just echo and then password here, encoded, pipe this into base 64. I think it's TAC D or TAC D code. I think that's right. Let's just check. Yep. And then what I'll do is I'll put this into SMB passwords.txt. And let's see. And then I can do the same for the other one. So let's just get this one here. There we go. And then we should be able to cut out SMB passwords. And I haven't done a new line there, but I can fix this. Right, let's just, what I'll do is I'll close down this so it doesn't spoil anything. Cancel, save, save, and it goes to Bill, that's the other user. So we've got the two passwords there. Nice. What can we do with these passwords now? So we could obviously try, look, can you use RDP? That's a possible entry point now. We've got these passwords. Can you get a remote desktop connection? However, I didn't go that route, to be honest. The full port scanners revealed there's an extra 3 ports. Like I said, I wasn't going that route. That's not how I eventually got access. The challenge said that in the challenge description, there are multiple routes to get root. There are multiple pathways you can compromise this machine. I guess you could say, well, I'll go and I'll explain what I did. If we cut out this Nmap SMB, I noticed, look, it's Windows Server 2016. There's a good chance we can use the Eternal Blue exploit here. I could use Metasploit, but I wanted to do some more manual exploitation. So that's what I did. So search exploit Eternal Blue, and you'll probably find this one here. This is familiar to me. I've used this in other challenges, and I find it quite reliable. So we can download that onto the box, search exploit TAC M, and we'll paste that there. And we've got this here. I didn't want it in this directory, so I'm going to cd. No, I'm going to move this 4 to back out of here 2 directories into the exploits directory. I'm going to go back out, go back out, go back out again, cd into exploits. And to use this, it requires a file. So if you just try run it, for example, Python 2, and it uses Python 2, I'll show you some of the stuff it requires. It requires inpacket, and I had trouble using this because my default Python interpreter is Python 3. This is Python 2.7 actually. So I set it up a virtual environment. So virtual env, and I've got the command saved, virtual env tacp, and then I supply the path to the version of Python I want to use, and then the current directory is where I want to paste the virtual environment files. It gives this error, but it does actually work. You can cd into bin and go source activate to actually run this virtual environment, and now I'm actually in Python 2. So what I can do is cd back into bin, and you'll have all these libraries. I can do pip 2.7 install inpacket, and now I'm able to install this using Python 2. I will also need, if we try run it now, so Python 2.7, and then I'm going to rename this. So I'm going to move forward to MS17 010 POC. This is just the name or the number, the code for Microsoft's Eternal Blue vulnerability. So MS17 010 underscore POC, and I'll put this here, and now we can run this with Python 2.7 MS 17 POC, and we'll see there's no module my SMB. You can Google this and download it. I probably have it on my box somewhere, so I can find a location where it exists. And what I can do is I can copy this to this directory. So copy to the current directory, and now we have this my SMB file. We can run this again, and this can sort of tell us the syntax of what we have to use. If you just run it out of the box, it will sort of test that it works. It won't really do any exploitation as such. It will put a file on the target machine, but it won't get a reverse shell or anything. You have to sort of do some manual exploitation, set up some way of transferring a reverse shell across. So there are a few ways you could do this. I first tried to use bitsadmin. So let's search up bitsadmin file transfer reverse shell. Let's see if somebody else has done this. So bitsadmin. So yeah, you can do something like this to download the file onto the box. I didn't do this. I tried to do that. I couldn't get it to work. In the end, I just used an SMB server. So I set up a local SMB server hosting my reverse shell, and then just called that from my POC. So I'm going to go edit this POC right now. So subl, and we see we've got it here. There's a few things you can add. You can try this without a username and password. It won't work. However, we did get some usernames and passwords, so we can use this here. I just used Bob, and it was fine. So Bob, there we go. And the password is this password here. I can copy this here and paste this in here. So if you go down quite a while, I'll spot it when I get it. It gets to the actual exploitation part. So here, it says you can use this service exec or service execute command to remotely execute commands. So if you wanted to, you could, by the way, you don't get the output of the command. If there's an error, it will give you like a vague error. It won't tell you that you won't get the output. So you could do whatever command you want in here. It would be able to remotely execute it. I originally tried to use the bitsadmin, and I separated two commands. So I had a service exec and I had another one here, like so. I did one to download the file and then one to execute it. For some reason this didn't work. However, instead, which was a much neater and it worked a lot better, was I basically set up an SMB server on my box, my Kali machine. I hosted on that SMB server a reverse shell, and then I executed the reverse shell through an SMB. Through SMB. So basically, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back out of here into exploits again, and I'm going to make directory SMB. I'm going to cd into SMB, like so, and I'm just going to I'm going to generate a reverse shell. So I'm going to use Windows MSF Venom Windows shell reverse TCP. You could use some sort of, if it was a different box with different architecture, you could specify the architecture. You could use Meterpreter. MS Venom is a good tool. I'm just going to do a generic, boring reverse shell, but I'm going to change this IP, so it's going to be 10.18.98.238. The port I want to listen on, I'll just do a nice easy port, is 444. The file is going to be an exe. I'm going to output this as shell.exe. I think that's all I need to do. I don't need to do any encoding to avoid antivirus detection or something like that. It should be okay, like this. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember the architecture I used. We'll sort of do a trial and error. If this doesn't work, it may be x64 instead of x32. Some of my scans may have actually found that, so let's just reference those first. So cd recon, cd smb, cat nmap smb. There are ways to do this and actually find the architecture. I'm going to trust this works, right? If you were doing this yourself, you obviously would do lots more enumeration. You would investigate that and the web page endpoint. You would fuzz for it. You would try these credentials on RDP. This way, I found a bit more efficient for me. So I'm just showing you how I got to the endpoint, not really the path I took. So SMB, enough waffling. Yeah, SMB server.py is the in packet script to do this, and it will sort of tell you some of the syntax. So there's a share name and the share path, right? The share path is the path in your local box where you want to put it. The share name is the name of the SMB share. So I can do, for example, share name shell, and I forgot to put the shell path, which is just going to be here, so I'm hosting the exploit in here. So like so. And what I'll do, I just want to check. So I'll get a reverse listener up on this one here. So NC NVLP 444. So I'll just leave that listening. I'll show you this SMB server's working now. So I can do, for example, if I just do mmap on localhost, it will show that there's a port 445 and we've got some sort of connection. So when we did our mmap scan, it recognizes it. What we can do is actually connect to this. So tac L localhost, I think it should work. Null authentication, I need to do a tac L, and we list the shares out. There's that shell share. So what I can do is I can edit this POC right to actually include my IP here, and then access the share. The share SMB share. I shouldn't have called it that. I did call it that, didn't I? Yeah. Oh no, I called it shell. Sorry, shell. And then the actual executable is called shell.exe, like so. I'll save that. What I'll do is go down and actually execute this with the IP now. So our IP, which we're attacking, is this, like so. And I did subble. I didn't mean. Did I just overwrite the POC? Cancel. Close without saving. I thought I may have overwritten the POC then, but I don't think I did. Let's just do Python 2.7 again. Let's run this. So it tries, and then we get a connection on here. So it's obviously executed the command on the target, and then we get a connection here. And do we get a callback on our reverse shell? We get a connect, but it looks like it's from my own IP. I'm going to trial and error and do this. I may have used the wrong. I'll run it again. Sometimes you need to run it a few times. And it's disconnecting share from IPC. I'm not sure if that's the one we wanted to use. There may be a few things we need to change here actually, because the share I needed to use needs to have. Okay, no, that worked. Enough waffling. Who am I? And look, if it returns, we're NT authority system. We are the highest privilege. If you will use the RDP method, I'm guessing you wouldn't be high privileges. You wouldn't be local system. So now we can just go to like CD users and then dir. We can see, look, there's that Bob user. We can CD into Bob, CD into desktop, and you've got the user flag there. So we've got the user flag, dir, CD into administrator, CD into desktop again, and there's the root flag. What I was trying to say is if we were to use RDP and RDP on as Bob, which I didn't actually do for some reason. Let's just try this now. If I was to RDP on as Bob, you would have to privilege escalate another way. This exploit sort of gives it to you all in one, which is quite nice. So let's go back on here. I know it's up the top here somewhere. Oh no, it's notes. No, it's SMB passwords. There you go. This may not even work. You may not even have RDP privilege, but we'll see. I hope it does. And then, there we go, copy that. Let's see if we can RDP on. That didn't work because it thinks. I'll try this. No such event. And password 1, 2, 3. Is it? Do I need it like this, right? For some reason, it's not liking the password. 1, 2, 3. And was there one at the beginning as well? I feel like there's one at the beginning I was missing. There is. Let's try this. Loading, yes. Okay, and that didn't work. It doesn't matter, we got RDP anyway, so we got RDP, we got root anyway, so RDP doesn't matter. That's about it. Like I said, I didn't really cover a lot of the enumeration process. I sort of, I'm just showing you how to root the box. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed.